To school wherever you may be going on this day. Got a lot of stuff to get to, but as always, it is all about you guys. 256-576-4977. That's the number to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. We want to hear from you on said Wednesday morning. A lot of good stuff. A lot of good stuff to get through on the docket today. And the big story that came out yesterday in college football, we knew it was coming. It wasn't a surprise because about 2 weeks before the SEC had their meetings in Destin, the ACC had their spring meetings, and they made it known that they wanted to go to a 3-5-5 structure, and that is indeed what they made official yesterday. Starting in the 2023 season, the ACC will ditch the divisions, so no more divisions in the ACC. 3 primary opponents were given out for each of the ACC teams. Florida State will have Clemson, Miami, Syracuse. Clemson will have Florida State, Georgia Tech, and NC State. But no more divisions in the ACC. The end of the season conference championship, Drew, will be determined by the top 2 teams based on conference winning percentage.
And I think that's probably better because there's been a lot of clunkers, especially in that league, which of course has sucked. But it's you get the 2 best teams regardless now, instead of having, okay, if one division is top heavy, then that's basically decided during the regular season. Then you have a shellacking in the ACC championship game, like a Clemson and Pitt or whatever. I know Pitt won it last year, but because Clemson was a little bit down. But what the ACC needs is what I've been saying. The 2 schools that they need desperately to be relevant and good, so that league is just not pathetic, is Florida State and Miami. Now, I don't know if Florida State's really on the right track. I sort of still have doubts about Mike Norvell. Obviously, Mario Cristobal is making some waves in recruiting because they're basically doing what Tennessee and Texas A&M are doing and paying a kid $9.5 million before he ever plays a down, which is stupidity. But still, they're trying to obviously attract some talent. So we'll see if Mario can turn it around. But and Mac Brown's team was disappointing last year. Yeah. They were supposed to be a top 10 team. They fell on their face. But still, Mac is a good coach. I think he's got North Carolina going in the right direction. Dave Dorn at NC State. So I think it'll be better for the ACC. We'll see how much better they get. And look at Dave Clawson at Wake Forest. He would have mudholed Dirtneck last year, but Dirtneck was and his football team decided they didn't want to play because half of the players don't believe in him and decided to opt out and move on to the NFL and not get drafted after they were developed so well. And they were more concerned with paying all their 5-stars to come to Texas A&M and flop. But, we'll see. But, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. The SEC is probably going to do the same thing when they decide, on their –
just a precursor to what we're going to be hearing maybe in less than a year's time, that the SEC is ditching the East and the West and the 2 best teams.
Yeah.
But, if the SEC did that, we'd still right now, we probably still would end up with Alabama and Georgia in an SEC title game.
And see, the funny thing is you think? In the other sports, they really have ditched the divisions, right. Like, in basketball. And then in baseball, they still give division standings, but come on. That's not how it works, really.
Because it's the top 12 that make the conference tournament.
And then you have a champion because whoever has the best overall record. So to me, I don't mind them getting rid of divisions. And lately it would have still been Alabama and Georgia. I still think it will be. I still think they're going to have the best teams. I don't really – now, it makes it a little tougher maybe on a Georgia because depending on how the scheduling is done – now, I'm still not in favor of the 1-7 deal. You've heard me say that, where you only have one permanent opponent. I think that's stupid.
Right.
I think
this here would give So if the SEC decided to do something similar to what the ACC is doing,
it would hopefully be the 3-6, right?
Right. So the ACC has the 3-5-5 structure.
Yeah.
You have your primary opponents, but then playing the remaining 10 teams in the conference twice every 4 years. So it guarantees somebody, if they are in school for 4 years, it doesn't mean that if you leave early, you're not into this factor. But if you are staying at your school for 4 years, you will play at least every ACC team in their venue at least once while you are in school.
Yeah.
So that's why a lot of people are applauding this, because, you will see at least every venue while
and
you're
that's
there
what
for
I'm
4
saying
years.
with the 3 and 6. I know Mark Stoops isn't in favor of it because some of these coaches want to schedule another win. They don't want to play, 9. And again, we're going to talk Kentucky football. One of my favorite people. It's been a while since we've had him, but Freddie Maggard this morning. They had 2 big running back additions to their roster. But again, and Mark Stoops is doing it because he wants to continue the momentum of his program, and it's more difficult for some programs, including Kentucky, to continue to win 9-10 games a year if you have to play 9 SEC games.
Right.
I just think it's better for the league because you get 3 permanent opponents, and then you get to play everybody in the league within a 5 or 6 year period. You don't go 10 years without playing somebody, which I think is stupid.
If the SEC decided to ditch the divisions, and the SEC right now, coming off the baseball national championship, I mean, they are the premier conference right now in America. It's no doubt about that. So you take Alabama, Georgia, and I'm going to throw Texas A&M in there because they should be an upper half division team.
They won't.
I'm going to put Florida in there. If the SEC ditches divisions, is it harder for – I'm just going to use Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Arkansas, Kentucky, Tennessee, South Carolina – impossible for them to ever come out on top and get to an SEC championship game if they ever did divisions?
I mean,
or did away with divisions? You're right now you're good teams but not great teams in the conference.
You never say impossible, okay?
Right.
Now, I've said before, and I know Jeff from the Bros on hold, and he's gotten irritated with me that I say Kentucky would never win the SEC football championship. Now, I never said they'd never make the championship game, though, because who knows? I mean, there may be a year where Georgia has a lot of injuries, where they have some transition, where they slip, like we saw Clemson do it. There may be a year where we saw Steve Spurrier get South Carolina to the championship game, but they got mud-holed. I do think it's going to be more difficult for certain programs to ever win it. I'm not saying get there. I just mean win it overall. It's going to be a difficult, ordeal. I still think, and right now, look at Tennessee. Tennessee has been in the abyss. Their program has, for 15 years struggled. They really haven't come close to winning it all in the SEC since 2001 when they got upset by Nick Saban at LSU. So that's what I'm saying. I don't know. It could be difficult for some programs. I do think Tennessee has the fan base and the support to eventually rise back up and maybe be a champion if everything fell into place. Same way with Florida. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I do think, though, especially with Texas and OU coming in, that at least half of the league is probably going to have a hard time ever winning it. Now, could they have a special year where things line up and you finish second and you get to the championship game? Potentially, yes. But I don't think that I think they would be underdogs like a South Carolina who played Auburn in 2010, and remember they had Cam Newton.
Yes.
And I'm sure you covered that game.
Yes.
And it was just a mauling.
Yeah,
I mean,
that was a rematch, actually.
Yeah, that's right.
Because they had met earlier in the year, and South Carolina nearly
had played them tough.
Got Auburn in Auburn, I believe.
It kind of reminded me of 1999 when Alabama was fortunate to win in the Swamp and beat the Gators, and then played them in the SEC championship game, and nobody gave Alabama a chance, said they'd never beat Steve Spurrier twice, and Steve Spurrier will never live it down for the rest of his life because Mike DuBose beat him twice and beat them like a rented mule in the championship game.
That was my first SEC championship game that year in '99.
Very interesting.
Yeah, first time in Atlanta. You did mention Kentucky picking up some big recruits there. And we mentioned that because it's a local tie.
Yep.
And that's why we want to mention that. D. Beckwith, who starred at Florence, we watched him play his senior year. In fact, 97.7 ESPN The Zone, we actually did a Huntsville-Florence game.
Yeah, we did. We covered him.
That year and watched him play up close and personal. And he was at Tennessee, and he is now on the move. A move that will give Kentucky, with the added extra yesterday, 8 scholarship running backs going into 2022. But D. Beckwith going from the orange to the blue.
Yeah, he is. I mean, and he didn't play a lot at Tennessee, and it kind of, mystified me a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I loved him in high school. I think he should be an H-back. I thought he was a dynamic receiver. You remember how tough he was to cover, Scott. And remember, D didn't play football. I think he only played 2 years because he was a basketball player. So he was really just sort of scratching the surface. And then he decided to go to Tennessee. And he'd been in the portal for a while. I wasn't sure where he was going to end up. I know our good friend John Summerall at Troy had some interest in him. I thought he could end up there, but he's getting an opportunity to play at Kentucky. I'm going to be interested to see how they utilize him because I think he's an outstanding jumbo athlete. I think Tennessee tried to play him on both sides of the ball, but again, he never really played a lot there. He's still got 3 years of eligibility, so I'm excited for his opportunity. I think he's playing in a program where he may be utilized a little bit better. Probably didn't fit into the offensive scheme of a Josh Heupel, but he's a big physical guy, and of course, we know Mark Stoops and his teams always play with physicality. And then they also got a commitment from Ramon Jefferson, who was a small college All-American at Sam Houston State. He had 1,900 yards rushing for them. And to me, I know you just talked about 8 scholarship running backs, but obviously Coach Stoops felt like they needed more juice in the running back room.
Right.
I mean, this is why he would go out and do this because, again, Will Levis, we've heard how good he looked at the Manning Passing Academy. He's getting first-round grades because of his physical tools. He showed some flashes last year. If he can be more consistent this year, Kentucky could definitely be in the top 3 in the SEC East. I don't think there's any question about that. I personally believe, like I've seen others in the media picking Tennessee second in the league or second in the East. I know that Kentucky has had some success against Tennessee, but they've also Stoops has been about, Tennessee at times has had their number, continued to, but he has also beat them a couple times. I'll just say this. If Kentucky beats Tennessee, and they did 2 years ago during the COVID year like a mule, if they beat them, I think they're definitely a lock to finish in the top 3, if not finish second in the East. I think that's a huge swing game for them, and I think, they've got a lot of guys back. Stoops has done a really good job recruiting. The recruiting has improved, every year under him. And I'm not sold on Tennessee because of their defense. Okay, their defense wasn't very good last year, and the way Josh Heupel plays, which is up tempo, no huddle, and foot on the pedal, he wants to score points, but can you stop the other team? And so I don't know that they're the most physical team, so I like
the defense played better than I think we thought it would.
Well, they forced some
just
turnovers,
not
but
as good as what.
Yeah. And again, they played Alabama tough. They played and Hendon Hooker played well, and he really kind of changed their team. Once he became the starting quarterback. But like I say, I still am kind of in a wait and see mode with Tennessee.
Jeff in the Borough with us this morning. Good morning, Jeff.
How you doing, guys?
Morning, Jeff.
Well, I was going to say the guy from Sam Houston State, they won the championship. They played with in the spring, and next year they're going to. This is their last year, and I guess I called it 1AA.
That's right.
It's only their last year. They'll be in Conference USA the next in 2023, so they're moving to Conference USA next year. But and as far as the other guy, I know I looked at his stat. I mean, he's real big and tall. Kind of reminds me of Al Baker a little bit, and maybe a Mo Williams too. But Mo Williams he was a little bit shorter than didn't know what this guy is, but Mo Williams was big, could run over people. He could run over you and run around you. That's what Mo Williams could do. He could do all that when he played. So, but no, I don't know that. I mean, Rodriguez has got some problems right now that I'm hoping he can get through, and maybe he might sit out one game or two. I don't know.
Well, let me ask you a question about that, Jeff, because I haven't kept up with and Rodriguez is an outstanding back, by the way. He arguably could be the best back coming back in the SEC that's proven himself. But is his issues? Is it academic? Is it personal?
He got arrested or pulled over for a DUI. He was on.
Oh, gotcha.
And what it was is he was supposed to go to court or something. His attorney didn't go. I think his attorney or something. He didn't report or something. So it's still kind of in limbo. But they're saying he might have to miss, a game or two. Well, I don't know.
I gotcha.
Depends on what Stoops wants to do. But their line's going to be a work in progress. They've got a couple young kids that good when that Yagerbert. They've got to work them in, and they lost a couple last year, so their offensive line's not going to be as good. But yeah, I mean, I've seen third and I've seen second. I saw some poll that said they were tied with Tennessee and second. But let me tell you this: we lost to Tennessee last year and still finished second. We still finished. Us and Georgia and Kentucky were the only teams with winning records in the SEC East. So
that's true.
Tennessee game, yeah, it matters a little bit, but we lost to them last year and still finished second place. So I mean, yeah, we beat them like a rented mule down there a couple years ago. It was Starman's last game before he passed away and all that stuff. But
that's right.
If they can go down there and beat them again in Knoxville, I know some people in East Tennessee going to be real mad if we beat them in Neyland Stadium again. Especially as we ain't done it so long after a few years ago. So if Stoops beats Heupel this next year, there'll be a lot of fans over Howland and all that stuff. But like I say, we'll see. I mean, there's a guy up here don't think we'll ever win it. Of course, it won't be much longer. We're not going to have divisions probably anyway. The ACC already dropped there, so we probably won't have it too much longer. And the only reason why people want 9 games is because of expansion. I mean, you're winning championships now. Why do you want to add extra conference game? You're in the playoffs and winning national championships. That's like cutting your throat. Just go ahead and play 8 games and be done with it. But people don't want to do that. They want to. We're looking out. I mean, as far as Stoops and Barnhart's concerned, we're looking out for Kentucky. We ain't worried about nobody else this league. We got to do our program and get our program right. We ain't worried about what Florida and all the rest of them do. I mean, Florida was picked second last year, and the East State finished 6th. They're never going to be picked 5th or 6th. But the preseason polls I've seen is Kentucky is ahead of Florida. I never thought I'd see that in my lifetime.
Let me ask you something, Jeff, before you go. If they went to the 9 games and it was 3-6, who should be Kentucky's permanent opponents in your mind? The 3 that they play every year.
I mean, it's going to be one of them's going to be Tennessee.
Right.
I guess Mississippi State. I don't know who the other one would be. I don't know, but I mean, I don't know why this big deal of playing everybody in a 4 or 5 year period. We wasn't worried about it years ago, but guys, we're worried about it now, ain't we? Nobody cares. Okay, play. And I don't care if they play LSU every 20 years. Why is that so important? Tell me, please. Can you please explain to me before when I go off there? Please explain to me why it's so important to play everybody in a 4 year period. Is it something that we can come back? Well, y'all played everybody in the SEC now. When I come back 50 years from now, nobody cares. Hang in there, guys.
Well, I think people do care because
it's
think
called
they
tickets
see
and see a TV game, and it's made for television. And you sell out your stadium instead of playing Eastern Kentucky.
But
That's what it is.
I mean, if you are, let's just say Kentucky, and every year you have, I'm just trying to think of one out of the way. Let's just say you have Mississippi State on your schedule every year.
Yeah.
But would you rather not have like Texas A&M come to Kentucky one year or Arkansas come to Kentucky
All
one
that
year?
sounds like is we don't want to lose another game, so don't play 9.
Keep our schedule exactly the way it is.
I mean,
he doesn't even want you to rotate. He doesn't even want you to rotate out of the SEC, your West schools. He doesn't even want those to change.
I mean,
he wants those to stay exactly the same, and you play the exact same schools every year.
Well, the thing with me, with Kentucky's permanent opponents, it would probably be to me like a Tennessee, maybe Mississippi State, and maybe either Vanderbilt or South Carolina.
I think everybody in the conference should play everybody at least once every 4 years.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why
at
you're
least
in
4
the
or 5 or 6 years.
That's why you are in the conference.
And really 4 years is a good point, Scott, because it gives whoever you sign with, it gives you a chance during your career to play everybody.
That's why in the ACC, if you're there now
or
for 4 years,
I know that
you're
Kentucky
gonna play
fans
in
would
every
grind
game.
their gears here, but or you play permanently. You play Tennessee, Mississippi State, and Florida.
Yeah.
But Florida's usually pretty good. But I mean, hey, this isn't basketball.
Let's get one more call in before the break. Shane from Decatur.
What's up?
Oh, Shane Sean. My bad. Shane Sean.
Shane Sean, what's up, man?
Hey, good morning. How are y'all?
Good.
Well, it's tripping. Who cares about is if Texas and Oklahoma come to the SEC. I'm going to every year. We're going to Tennessee every year. You get your ass beat by another SEC school. You and Kentucky and probably Vanderbilt and Mississippi State are probably the only ones that don't want 9 SEC games.
Well, they wouldn't mind it if it was baseball season if they're in Mississippi State, even though this year they were awful. But, everybody knows they're going to bounce back.
I understand why he said nobody cares, because they're a basketball school. They don't give a damn about football.
Well, I wouldn't say they don't give a damn because they have improved their facilities. But, I understand what you're saying, though. They're very defensive about it because they actually are winning right now, and they don't want to have to take off Eastern Kentucky, which is a guaranteed win.
I just don't get the dude, man. You sit here and you take up for Mark Stoops. You put him on a pedestal, say he's the second coming of Jesus, and he says you down him all the time. I've never got a vibe that you've downed Mark Stoops or Kentucky.
No.
You lifted them on a pedestal the entire time, but this dumbass don't know his head from a hole in the ground.
He also is not a fan of the SEC, though. He's a fan of Kentucky,
No,
but he's not a fan of the SEC.
He sure does like that Conference USA because he brings it up every day and talks about stupid stuff like that. Why don't you just go join Conference USA and shut up?
Kentucky can become an independent, and they can play whoever they want, as many games as they want.
Well, you'd rather them play Middle Tennessee than Mississippi State.
There we go. They could play Middle Tennessee.
I'll tell you what he wants. He wants what Jeff wants is to play one permanent opponent, and they want it to be Vanderbilt.
Lord. And Shane Sean, I think you agree with us though. I don't like the 1-7. I'd much rather have the 3-6.
I wish we would play the 12.
Hello?
Just take out the non-conference games and play all 12.
Shane's talking about like the COVID year.
Yeah, just play 12 conference games.
The COVID year was my favorite football, other than the fact that nobody could go to games and stuff like that. But as far as the actual football, that was my favorite season so far of my life, and I'm 43 years old. And
no disrespect, I know Jeff's going to blow a gasket, but we all know Mark Stoops wasn't in favor of that because they played Alabama and it was 63-3, but I'll give him credit. He still played even though his team was heavily affected by COVID, but he wasn't in favor of the gauntlet.
I like Kentucky, but this moron's making it hard for me to like anything about them. But
go ahead.
In all seriousness, man, if you don't want to play the best competition, if you want to go watch Kentucky blow out Middle Tennessee, Southern State, Georgia, whatever, if that's what you want to watch them do, just don't turn your TV on during the SEC games and watch you Southern Middle Tennessee State.
Yeah. No
Shane
doubt.
John, thanks for the call, bud.
Appreciate it.
I'm not willing to give up LSU or Tennessee or no other. I want to play our regular teams we play every year.
Thanks for the call, bud. We are up against a break. Let's get that break in. We'll continue this discussion right after the break. 256-576-4977.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
They have cleared that wreck on Greenbrier at Old Highway 20 now. That one had injuries involved. 53 and Jim McLemore had injuries involved. It has been cleared as well. Traffic level heavy all across the valley. You be careful on your ride in. Expert heart care backed by advanced technology. When you need cardiac care, you need the heart doctor. Dr. Randall Burns and the team at Huntsville Heart Specialist. Captain Nick in the Jordan Lane Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
When our lives were interrupted, Madison Academy immediately began distance learning instruction thanks to our Apple device program and a well-prepared faculty.
When our success in athletics led to a new competitive balance rule, Madison Academy was prepared to face the new challenges head-on.
We understand a thing or two about winning, and it always begins with preparation. Learn how our balanced approach to learning prepares the mind, body, and soul. Visit our website at macademy.org to learn more. Strong minds, strong faith, that's Madison Academy.
Outdoor season is coming. Can't wait.
Here at Brooks & Collier, neither can we. Outdoor season is also grilling season.
And we have plenty of grills and smokers in stock from Traeger, Blaze, and Big Green Egg.
There's the greenhouse, new indoor items and home furnishings as well.
Whatever it takes. Browse over 2 acres of furnishings. Can't wait.
How about you? North Alabama's indoor and outdoor living headquarters for over 75 years.
813 Meridian Street and at brooksandcollier.com.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
On July 1st, Chris Pratt stars in The Terminal List.
Lieutenant Commander James Reese, can you outline the details of your mission?
It was a setup. They knew we were coming.
Nothing in this file adds up.
From Antoine Fuqua, director of Training Day.
Answers or blood? Blood. Stay off my list.
The Terminal List. New series, July 1st on Prime Video.
This is Wes Neighbors talking to Chris Haygood of Bob Wallace Appliance. Chris, what sets you apart from other appliance dealerships?
Wes, these appliances are going into the most used room in your house, your kitchen. The way we have these appliances displayed, it's easy for you to visualize how they'll look in your home. Wes, what sets us apart is the people. They're well trained. In fact, they live and breathe these appliances. And if you need service, you'll really appreciate our parts department.
Contact Bob Wallace Appliance at 256-533-2121.
You want the right specialist for your recovery. At Sportsmed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center, we understand every body is different. Your muscles and bones are unique, as is your body. Our Sportsmed specialists offer innovative treatments and minimally invasive procedures, allowing you to quickly return to the life you love. Locations in Huntsville, Madison, Athens, and Decatur, and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com. Improving performance, improving lives.
We cover all the SEC schools, including Western Union and Venmo.
I want that money!
You know, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Chuck Oliver. Listen to me coming up at noon today. Now, back to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. 7:31. The discussion right now centering around, it all started with the ACC conversation about going to their new format, ditching the divisions, going to a 3-5-5 structure. Right. That is what the ACC is going to go with. Each team will play its primary opponents annually, and then playing the remaining 10 teams in the conference twice every 4 years, once on the road and once at home. That led Jeff from the Borough to say, well, who really cares if the SEC, who really wants, and who really cares if you play every SEC team throughout every 4 years? We don't want it. We don't need it. Who cares?
Unless it's basketball season.
Yeah, and that, you know, so that's kind of sparked the conversation this morning. Let's go out to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline once again.
Richard with us. What's up, Richard?
Hey, guys. Yeah, I'm for the 3-6. I mean, even if we may not play LSU every year, but if you don't play LSU, you may be playing Oklahoma or Texas.
Well, let me ask you something, Richard, because you're a season ticket holder yourself a long time. I said this, that I think Alabama's 3 permanent should be either and really I've said it before, Auburn, Tennessee, and the LSU, or Mississippi State, because they've played Mississippi State, I believe, as long as they've played anyone in the SEC.
Yeah, you're probably right, because Auburn, they didn't play back in the 20s, 30s, and the 40s, really. So State, they've probably played more than any team. And really, it's one of these things, State, because we beat them, we don't really consider them a rival. But the other way around is, that's Ole Miss and Alabama are their big games of the year.
And they sell a lot of tickets. It's all about ticket sales and getting people in the stands. And that's why I think they need to play 9.
It's something new.
Yeah.
Even if they only play 8 and you still rotate them. I mean, I think they should go 9. But at least if they don't ultimately go to 9 and you only play 8, at least rotate them.
Well, I mean, Richard, I'll ask you this. If it's 1-7 and Alabama drops Tennessee, do you not think that's going to irritate some Alabama fans? I know they've been dominating the series, but that series means a lot to a lot of people on both sides.
Yeah, I mean, it's still important because, TV puts it on 2:30, pretty much every year, no matter what the other games are, because it still draws fans because it's a rivalry. But I would think they would have to do the 3-6. One thing for Kentucky is they're stuck playing Louisville, and that's one of their arguments. Where Florida has the same argument, and South Carolina, but they're that one of their non-conference games has to be Louisville.
Right.
So because Alabama and Auburn, it's no big deal. And then a lot of these schools don't really, like an LSU doesn't really have a rivalry. A true in-state rivalry like Arkansas, Missouri. So you got several. It doesn't really matter, but like I said, that's the one thing on those 3 schools is one of their non-conference games. So then they're stuck with 2 other.
Yes.
I guess we'd say easy wins, or then you have trouble playing another big name opponent.
Yeah, because that's
where
where
Alabama has 4 slots now to play anybody they want. So that's the one kind of comeback Kentucky is having to play Louisville.
Yeah, South Carolina's in that same boat because they have Clemson. That's what Shane Beamer has discussed. Florida is Florida State, and Kentucky has Louisville. That's where those coaches are like, hey, now wait a minute. If we do this, one of our non-conference games is already basically spoken for. We don't even get to decide who that game is.
One thing on the 3-6 I wish they would do too is, and you might have to pay a little bit more to some of these teams, but to have a minimum of 3 or 4 SEC games every week, and that means week 1, 2, 3. Because some weeks you'll have 4 or 5 great games, then the next week you're going, well, I guess I'm going to watch Michigan State. It's so bad some weeks to where.
In other words, you want it spaced out a little bit better.
Yeah, because like I said, this year Alabama's playing Texas, who's not in the conference yet, the second week, but a lot of times, especially the second and third week, you get ready to watch a game and you're just kind of going, well, Alabama, Louisiana Tech, Auburn, Stanford, Georgia Southern. You're looking for a decent game to where, with the SEC ratings and and the money they're going to get, I'm sure from this new contract, you would think ABC, ESPN almost would make them space the games out to where you might have even Texas, Oklahoma the second week of the season or something.
Yeah, no.
So, to have good games every week out versus a lot of weeks you may have 6 good games at the same time almost.
That's a good point, no doubt about it. And we want to thank our listener Ronnie Frost. I thought this was right. He sent us a note. Alabama has played Mississippi State more than any other SEC school because, like you said, Richard, the Auburn series was interrupted.
Yeah, so that would be so you would think that would be, and like you said, for ticket sales, Mississippi State probably would have Ole Miss, us, their other choice would be LSU, but but they would probably might give them somebody else in there if you're a State fan. Would probably be their like you said, Ole Miss and Alabama would probably be 2 of their 3.
And Kentucky, I bet. That's just my guess.
Yeah, or either Vanderbilt or something in there. So, but like I said, to me, you need to space the games out and to have 9 conference games because, like I said, it could be something in the contract, or it may be even more money from ABC, ESPN if you get rid of the Eastern Louisianas on the schedule.
Yeah, no
like
doubt.
I said, so.
What I think that ought to be, Richard, is if you have 3 permanent opponents, it should. And I know they don't have divisions anymore, but I think it should follow 2 from your old division, like in the West, and then 1 from the Eastern side.
Yeah.
And then I think that, like, for example, for Ole Miss, I think it should be Mississippi State and LSU. That should be their 2 from the West, and then you'd have to think about who you would match them up with in the East. I don't know. You'd have to go back and see, who they've had maybe the most history with of who they've played, or kind of who they're maybe where you think it's going to sell tickets. But I think that would be interesting for Ole Miss. But I definitely think LSU and Mississippi State would be the 2 of them, and then you would have to decide, from the Eastern side, who you would want them to play every year. But again, that would be, go ahead.
One to think about is Texas, because you would have Texas A&M, and then you would have Arkansas probably, but then Oklahoma. So you kind of, their 3 permanent ones would probably, you would think that would be the common sense wise who you would think. But then, LSU would be a pretty good rivalry for Texas, also being on the border.
Yeah, it would.
Like I said, but you're not going to drop the Oklahoma game, and then A&M might not want to play Texas, but they would be forced to play them. And then, like I said, Arkansas, Texas was the big rivalry back from the old Southwest Conference days.
It was, no doubt about it.
All right, Richard, thanks.
Appreciate it.
Guys.
Thank you.
All right, so that Alabama-Mississippi State rivalry, though, by the way, is 105 meetings.
Yeah. Thank you, Ronnie.
They started meeting annually back in got to go all the way back to 1901.
Yeah. So to me, that I'm starting to change my mind on that from the standpoint of LSU. And besides, LSU's probably tired of getting their tails just thrashed most years by Nick Saban, and they almost have PTSD over it sometimes.
Yeah.
So, and when they do win, their head coach shoots his mouth off and then ends up fired 2 years later because he takes 2 anvils on his head. So it would probably cut LSU a little bit of a break, and they might pick up a high-level opponent like an Oklahoma or a Texas, which is what Richard's talking about.
Yeah.
And to me, if I had to really think about it hard, I would say probably Ole Miss's would be Vanderbilt, because it would give them a little bit of a break. No offense. I mean, we know Vanderbilt's history, but Ole Miss, because Mississippi State Ole Miss is extremely emotional. It's probably as heated as Alabama and Auburn almost, really, when you think about it in that state. And then LSU and Ole Miss, that used to be their big. It still is, but used to be their biggest rivalry, even bigger than State in some ways.
So
back 30, 40, 50 years ago.
So Mississippi State is Alabama's most played opponent.
Right.
Alabama is Mississippi State's 3rd most played opponent.
To Ole Miss.
Ole Miss and LSU.
Yeah, so that's going to be interesting. That would be really interesting. So you would think, so
if you're Alabama, you would probably want Mississippi State, but if you're Mississippi State, you would definitely want Ole Miss and
Alabama,
maybe
probably.
LSU, though, because that's who you've played second most.
I don't know. I don't know that they would. I still think if you're Mississippi State, you sell more tickets playing Alabama because it's Alabama.
All right, 256-576-4977. That is the number to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. You can get in on that discussion if you want to. Again, 256-576-4977. Just kind of going over some of these. It's kind of interesting, and it all, again, stems from the ACC doing what they decided to do yesterday and make it official by 2023. Lewis is with us this morning. Good morning, Lewis.
What's up, Lewis?
Good morning. What's going on, man? I was listening to y'all, heard y'all comments about how LSU constantly gets thrashed by Alabama, and I ain't like that. I'm an LSU fan.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying lately. I mean, certainly,
I got that, but when you look back at all the LSU Alabama games, even if Bama won, LSU is the only team that they only beat by 3 or 6 points. The majority of the time, when they went through their season and destroyed everybody else.
Right.
So
they had definitely some classic games
choice.
during like about 10 years ago when the hat had it rolling.
All time that series is 55.
And play caller, yeah.
All time that series is 55, 26, and 5 in favor of Alabama. All time.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Never debated who won.
Yeah.
It was just the wording, how they just thrashed in the PTSD. Nah, we don't get PTSD from that because we look at it like if Bama's beating everybody by 52 points and 43 points, then LSU run across them with a choice of a quarterback you can find at a great value store until Joe Burrow, and they only win by 6 points. That says a lot about LSU.
I think,
it doesn't say a lot about Bama. It says a lot about LSU because it's obvious Bama has been steamrolling everybody they run across.
I mean,
until they get to LSU.
Lewis, the classic games, like from when Saban first got there, we remember LSU won a classic game in 7. Then in 08, Alabama won a classic game. 09, Alabama won a classic. And then 10, LSU wins. Then 11, LSU wins, and then Alabama wins the rematch in the national championship game. And then 12, it was an outstanding game. Really, LSU should have won. That Alabama came back and won late.
Yeah.
It started to get kind of one-sided starting in 13. Now, of course, you're right.
Yeah.
In the Burrow year,
they
when they had a special quarterback, they did win in Tuscaloosa. But I'm just saying lately, because let's not misunderstand. Les Miles was the winningest coach in LSU history, and if he hadn't started losing to Alabama all the time, he'd still be there. I mean, and that's.
I think honestly he got fired because he refused to change.
Well, that's part of it. Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
Yeah. I mean, you look at some of the scores. In 2005, it went to overtime. 2008, it was an overtime game.
I'm just talking about Saban, but yeah.
I'm just saying 2011, it was an overtime game.
Yeah.
14, we had an overtime game. I mean, they're not the scores are not as there's really you look at it, and in 2020, it was a 55-10 game. That was really one of the biggest margins of victory in this series. It
was competitive last year. It was kind of ugly.
I mean, it was 20-14.
Right,
yeah. So I mean,
before Joe Burrow. Okay.
Yeah.
If you look at those games when we were struggling at even trying to find a quarterback, Matt Zattenberger was like, I don't even call him a great quarterback. He was just a good person.
Okay. Yeah.
But that was as good as we had as a quarterback until Joe Burrow. But if you look at the scores versus how Bama has rolled through their season, you wouldn't think for a second that Mattenberger was as bad as he was because of the fight they put out with Alabama. They didn't get steamrolled. You understand what I'm saying? So it's not about debating, we won more than – no, it's not that. It's just how Bama will steamroll everybody else until they get to LSU, and it's like, hell, they won by 3 points. They won by 6 points. What happened?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, Zach Mettenberger was there 11, 12, and 13. Those were his years at LSU. And in those games, it was a 9-6 overtime game. It was a 21-0 Alabama win and a 21-17 Alabama win. So, I mean, You're right. I mean, you easily could say that with an average quarterback, not a SEC, all-star quarterback, but a decent to average quarterback, LSU was able to hang with a dominant Alabama team during those years.
I'm losing you guys. I'm thinking.
All right, so it's some interesting. That's an interesting take there, and it is. I mean, you look at it, and I mean, LSU has played Alabama close. There were some lumps in the road. The 55-10 game in 2020, the 29-0 game in 2018.
Well, I mean, it was, as we said, I was just going back and looking, like in 2016, it was 10-0.
Yes.
That was when Jalen Hurts was the quarterback, and it was an ugly game, but it was still 10-0. I mean, LSU didn't score. Alabama wins by double digits, and had to score the touchdown late. So it was competitive, just like last year. It was ugly but competitive. But for the most part, since the 2012 Classic, And then the 19 game was a classic game with Joe Burrow, and their year they won the national title. Most of those games have been one-sided, and that's why Les Miles is gone, like Lewis said, because he wouldn't change. And then Ed Ogeron changed, and he had a special football team and won a national title, but he didn't handle the success properly.
Right.
And that's why now they've gone to Brian Kelly, and now there'll be a new chapter. But I just think when you bring in a school like Texas, for example, that they could end up being a permanent opponent for LSU because that's a natural rivalry as well. And then they'd still play Alabama every few years, but I'm not sure that that it wouldn't be better for them to not play Alabama every year.
Would Alabama fans be heartbroken if they did not play LSU?
No, I don't think
Or would
so.
they be more heartbroken if they didn't play Mississippi State?
I mean, I think they would rather play LSU probably because LSU's a better program. But Mississippi State, there's a lot of history there. As you said, 1901.
Right.
And everybody deserves, even Alabama, a slight break because Alabama's set up some unbelievable opponents as far as in the future and out of conference. So if I'm Alabama, I know you've historically dominated it. I would almost rather play Mississippi State, but then play Auburn and Tennessee because I know you're dominating Tennessee, but at some point Tennessee's going to come back. And Tennessee, to me, that rivalry means more than LSU. Okay, I know it hasn't meant more because of Nick Saban's ties to LSU, but let's be honest. If Nick Saban had coached, I don't know, at Georgia or somewhere else, it would be a lot more heated. It's heated because Nick Saban was at LSU and he left. That's why the rivalry has been so. And like Lewis said, there has been some classic games. There's
True.
no question about that it was as good as you could get from 2007 to 2012 because the games could have gone either way, and they all went down to the wire.
Let's get that break in. When we come back and wrap up Hour 1 Talking Ball.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Good morning. It looks like we're all clear now. Not seeing anything accident-wise. 53 and Jim McLemore had injuries. It's gone. Greenbrier and Old Highway 20 also was an injury type. It has been taken care of. No hose, no mask. You can ask Dr. Sandman, that's Dr. Sandlin, for the medically proven benefits of the Somnodent for sleep apnea and snoring. Dr. Sandlin, 350-CARE. Captain Nick in the North Parkway, Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
The boys of summer are heating up. The Atlanta Braves are locked in and ready. And the Braves Radio Network's making sure you don't miss a single moment.
2-1 pitch. There's a missile. Deep right. Back towards the corner. Damage done by Matt Olson.
Tonight, the huge division battles roll on in Philadelphia as Ronald Acuna and the Braves take on the Philadelphia Phillies from Citizens Bank Park. Braves Radio's on the air at 5:50 Eastern, 4:50 Central on the Braves Radio Network.
Make your garden twice as big this summer and get twice the harvest. Right now, get 2 Bonnie Plants 2.32 quart vegetable and herb plants for only $10. Their ready-to-grow starter plants make growing vegetables and herbs at home easier than ever before. Make your garden twice as big this summer and enjoy homegrown fresh vegetables and herbs with Bonnie Plants, 2 for just $10. Feels like 4th of July savings at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Selection varies by store, in-store only, not available offshore or Alaska.
If you're ready to lower your utility bills, it's time to call Eagle Insulation. Eagle can handle it all. Attic re-insulation, insulation removal, wall insulation, and new construction insulation, commercial and residential. Our primary goal is to save you money, and lots of it. Typical clients realize their return on investment within 3 to 6 months. That means the re-insulation actually pays for itself and then some. See if we can help you. Contact Eagle Insulation today, 256-755-1556, or log on insulatewitheagle.com.
Did you know that your car, truck, or SUV may be worth over 30 or 40% more than it was last year? It's true. Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, and we'd love your trade-in for a personalized custom factory order on a 2022 Explorer, Expedition, Ranger, or F1.
We interrupt this message to announce our $1,000 appreciation cash reward. Attention all active military, reservists, retirees, and all veterans, plus first responders, police, fire department, EMTs, and medical professionals. and appreciation for making Huntsville the great city it is, you'll receive a $1,000 exclusive reward in addition to any public offers on most all 22 Fords. So please come see us today.
Our Ford Gold certified or low mileage, gently used vehicles with great warranties. At Woody Anderson Ford, whether it's a new order or a pre-owned, we promise to always do the right thing. Corner of Jordan and Sparkman, hope to see you soon.
Our zone deal this week is truly an award winner. Metro Diner, serving up signature dishes like their Charleston shrimp and grits, famous fried chicken and waffles with strawberry butter, and lots more. Their entire menu is available anytime, breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And stop by for brunch on Saturday or Sunday and enjoy the lowest priced mimosas in town. Airport Road, Huntsville, and Highway 72 in Madison. This Friday, you can get $50 worth of great Metro Diner food for half price, just $25 with our zone deal. Just log on 977ESPN.com Friday morning at 8 to get yours.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A partly sunny sky this afternoon. Temperatures climbing into the upper 80s and lower 90s. Scattered showers and thunderstorms are going to be possible across all of North Alabama, southern Middle Tennessee as we head into the heart of the afternoon, early into the evening. Temperatures only drop into the lower 70s through the overnight, early into your Thursday morning. A mostly cloudy sky through your Thursday afternoon. A better opportunity for scattered showers and thunderstorms. Some of those thunderstorms could pack a bit of a punch, some gusty winds. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Continuing that conversation on. We've been talking about divisions and all that stuff simply because the ACC has ditched their divisions, and that is kind of relaunch that conversation, put it in the forefront. But we are coming off the college baseball season. And in case you were wondering, the College World Series, the College National Championship games, Game 1 had 1.63 million people watching it. Game 2 had 1.54 million people paying attention to the College World Series. An average of 1.59 million people tuned in to watch the College World Series. Now, where does that stand with college football? College football averaged on ABC, ESPN, and ESPN2. This is not CBS. Okay?
Yeah.
So this is not just this is just ABC alone. 1.976 million viewers on a Saturday for college football. College World Series averaged 1.59 million. College football averaged 1.9 on ABC, ESPN during the college football season. So that tells you kind of how growing the sport of college baseball is, especially when it comes to the College World Series.
And especially if you got a pizza joint that gives away Jell-O shots for
you
like
to buy
what team?
$4.50.
Oh yeah, that's
you
right. I forgot. Yeah, that's right. And then he's going to donate the money. I forgot.
Yes. $2 of every $4.50 is going to food pantries in Arkansas and Ole Miss.
Yeah, I mean,
but still though, it just tells you how fast and
it's
how
a great
growing
event.
college baseball is going.
It's a great, and it's what when we talked about with on the show earlier this week with Jake, and Winfrey and all those guys. It's one of those things where with all the money that the SEC network has put in it and all the TV exposure, and Chris Lee talked about it too, Jake Wimberly, pardon me. It's one of those things where it's just a growing sport. I mean, because there's a lot of television. And then, how popular the SEC tournament, the baseball tournament is in Hoover.
Right.
They get really good attendance. I think the TV does well. So baseball and softball are probably the two sports that the SEC network coming into existence has helped the most. Because it's like you said, in the past, in both sports, if you look, and it's still that way with all-time results. Now, it's not that way now as far as the best leagues, but the West Coast and the Pac-12 used to dominate baseball and softball. Not anymore, though. I mean, with the advent of the SEC network and all the money that the SEC has put into the sport, now in the last 20, 25 years, it's become the SEC. And in softball, really the last 10. But the SEC has become the dominant program or the dominant conference in both those sports. Now, the SEC didn't win softball this year. Certainly, well, they kind of did if you just want to be an a-hole because Oklahoma's coming to the league.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I'm just saying that the SEC has become the preeminent baseball and softball league. And to be honest, I got to give Greg Sankey credit for being savvy. Everybody talks about football, but when you grab Oklahoma and Texas, first of all, both programs went to the College World Series in softball and baseball. So that's just going to enhance both of those sports.
Yeah, they have good top to bottom, Texas and Oklahoma, as far as all their sports.
And even something else, gymnastics.
Swimming.
Oklahoma won the gymnastics.
Texas is great at swimming and diving. They're right there as far as national championship contenders go. Track and field, they're both outstanding in that. So it's not just football that we're getting when you get Texas and Oklahoma to boost the conference. You're getting all of the sports as well, a lot of those Olympic sports as well. But college baseball, college softball, definitely, as far as viewership goes, not as good as football as number-wise, but, folks, people are paying attention, sitting, watching them in the TV. All right, Hour 1 is in the books. Hour 2 is going to be underway next. First guest of the morning, Auburn recruiting. Going to give an update on the Tigers. How good is Brian Harsin doing this time around?
McCurry Motors is your car and van rental headquarters. You can rent the vehicle you need today. Family in town, sporting event, church function, no matter what your need, McCurry Motors has you covered with a wide selection of cars and vans available for rent. They have 12-passenger Mercedes Sprinter vans, 12-passenger Ford Transit vans, 15-passenger Ford Transit vans, and 15-passenger Chevrolet Express vans. They have 2 locations, Highway 72 in Athens or Max Luther Drive in Huntsville.
Flow Trampoline Park is Huntsville's newest destination for family fun. There's an inflatable park for the little ones, air track basketball courts for the sports people, and a variety of other aerial sports attractions. Plus, plenty of couches and TVs for the spectators. Book your next party or outing at Flow Trampoline Park. Refuel at our caf, or tap into your inner child with an arcade and 3 console gaming rooms. Flow is at South Parkway and Drake, behind the Cracker Barrel. Learn more at flowhuntsville.com. That's flowhuntsville.com. Get your jump on at Flow Trampoline Park.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
We are working with a clean slate now. Haven't found anything new accident-wise. Everything from earlier has been cleared out of the way. You be careful on the rest of that trip in. Put some extra room in there so you have somewhere to go if something goes wrong. Need a temp or maybe a new addition for your staff? Snelling specializes in admin, accounting, and medical placement. Snelling, how Huntsville's best companies hire talent. 256-382-4000. Captain Nick in the 72 and Jeff, Popeye, Skywatch Traffic Center.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A partly sunny sky this afternoon. Temperatures climbing into the upper 80s and lower 90s. Scattered showers and thunderstorms are going to be possible across all of North Alabama, southern Middle Tennessee, as we head into the heart of the afternoon, early into the evening. Temperatures only drop into the lower 70s through the overnight, early into your Thursday morning. Mostly cloudy sky through your Thursday afternoon. A better opportunity for scattered showers and thunderstorms. Some of those thunderstorms could pack a bit of a punch, some gusty winds. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Heads up, sports bettors. Right now you can try VSiN All Access free for 30 days with no credit card required. Visit vsin.com/free month to sign up now.
NASCAR racing in Wisconsin on Sunday, the Quick Trip 250 at Road America. Chase Elliott, who's coming off a win in Nashville and is the race's defending champion, is the favorite at plus 500. Kyle Larson plus 600. Ross Chastain plus 850. Kyle Busch plus 900. And you can get Ryan Blaney at plus 1200. PGA Tour begins the John Deere Classic at TPC Deer Run in Illinois. Lucas Glover, the defending champion. Webb Simpson, the favorite, at plus 1,000. Adam Hadwin at plus 1,800. Jason Day plus 2,200. And Denny McCarthy at plus 2,500. For vsin.com, I'm Tony Desiri, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Log on today, 97.7ESPN.com. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
Just like that, Hour 2 is underway here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone's Talking Ball. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond with you for another 60 minutes, a little less than 60 minutes, 58 minutes to be exact. We'll be with you as we go on here on a Wednesday show. So far the conversation has been dominated on the expansion and the dissolution of ACC divisions. That's how we got through hour number 1. Going to kick off hour 2. We're going to stay with college football, but we're going to flip it just a little bit. It's been a busy time for recruiting. We talked about Kentucky picking up a pair of running backs via the transfer portal, one via the transfer portal, and that being D. Beckwith. Auburn recruiting has also had a lot of news and notes lately.
Yeah, it has, no doubt. And we've had a couple of his colleagues on frequently. Certainly Justin Hokanson does a great job for Auburn Live. On 3, part of the on3.com, the new network that's probably the fastest rising of its kind in the United States. We certainly have had Keith Niebuhr on, Scott, as you know. In his previous, of course, he spent a long time. He spent time with Rivals, then 10 years with 24/7 before becoming part of that staff. Also, Jeffrey Lee back in the day as well. So we've featured all these folks, and now we're going to feature another one who does a great job as a recruiting analyst for them. Also breaks down Auburn football from a film perspective quite well. Part of their YouTube show. They had a YouTube show last night, but it's an honor to have with us now on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. He's taking a few minutes this morning to talk some Auburn recruiting and Auburn football with us, and that's Cole Pinkston, and he's with us now with Drew and Scott here on ESPN 97.7 The Zone's Talking Ball. Cole, welcome to the show, my friend. How you doing this morning?
Yes, sir, man. I appreciate you having me on. I'm doing great.
Well, this is a busy time, and a lot of college football fans that follow recruiting. This is one of the busy times because this is where a lot of kids make those summertime visits, those summertime commitments, and Auburn has been very busy on both fronts.
Yeah, man. All of the top targets seem to be ready to make their decision. Not all of them, but a good majority. And these are guys that have been on campus for official visits during the months of June and May that were coming in for official visits and spending time on campus. So it's a dead period in recruiting right now, but it's really about to pick up for Auburn. I think they're going to get a few commitments this month, and top targets may go elsewhere. There's a lot of questions still, so we're still waiting to see what's going to happen, and we're tracking it very closely.
Well, I wanted to ask you about one situation that I found interesting yesterday, and you probably talked about it on the YouTube show with Carmelo English over with Patrick Nix over at Central Phoenix City. It seemed as though he was zeroing in on a decision, and I felt like Auburn had the edge over Kentucky, and he would pull the trigger soon. Now he's released a statement via his Twitter account last night that he's going to push his announcement back. Is that concerning? I mean, how do you read that for Auburn? Because I know they've poured a lot into trying to get him committed, and I know they want to, deepen the talent pool in the wide receiver room.
Yeah, and even the same as deepening the talent in the receiver room. They want to get guys from a school like Central Phoenix City, who always has top talent, and it's a school that's been sort of tough for Auburn, even though it's right down the road. So that's another big reason why English is a top target, and they want to get him in the boat. Yeah, it was a little bit surprising to know that he's going to change his announcement time. We don't know what that means yet. We're still trying to learn if that means Auburn, trending down with him. As far as we know, Auburn was the trending school, and it was not very close. So if somebody jumped in, they jumped in very fast. We always talked about the fact that Alabama was a team that kept him sort of warm and liked him. So we don't know if they've jumped in. We don't know if it was Michigan that showed him a really good time on his official visit just recently. So he's going to take his time now, it sounds like. Auburn's still up there, definitely at or near the top. So we'll find out more as that one goes on, because he just released that last night, and it was pretty surprising news.
Well, there's also another in-state prospect, Jeremiah Cobb,
that I know you're very familiar with.
Yeah, out of Montgomery Catholic. His decision is coming soon, and it could be good news for Auburn.
Should be, yep.
Yeah, I think it will be. I think Auburn has done a great job in that recruitment. I think they've done a good job in a lot of recruitments, but for Cobb, it just seems like he's I made this statement in an article recently. He seems like a guy, just from talking to him, that fits at Auburn regardless of who the staff is. It's just an Auburn fit, Auburn type of guy, characteristically. And he fit really well what Eric Keesall wants to do, and has got good hands out of the backfield. And I think all of those things, plus his relationship with Cadillac Williams, the running back coach, is really, really, really good. So that's just got Auburn in the lead, in my opinion, and I think that they'll probably get him on Friday.
And when you look at it, how many running backs do you see Auburn trying to take in this class? Because, of course, we know Tank Bigsby. If I thought he was going to have a monster year last year, it never really materialized. I still think he's supremely talented and capable of a 12, 13, 1,400-yard year. If he has the type of season that we think, you would anticipate he would move on after this year.
Yeah, we're expecting him to go to the NFL after this season. I don't see really a way that he comes back. He's got the ability to go ahead and go and be a top 2 to 3 round draft pick. He's got a chance to improve that this year as well. So yeah, he probably moves on, and Auburn's left with Jarquez Hunter and Damari Austin and Sean Jackson, who's now on scholarship. But they probably want to add 2 more guys in this class.
Well, obviously.
But that was not.
Yeah, go ahead. Finish.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, finish your thought.
Well, that was not important until they get Jeremiah Cobb in the boat. That's number one priority.
Mm-hmm.
And if they have to just settle with Cobb, they'll probably stop there if they don't have, if they don't have any movement with other guys.
They can get the running backs, but are they going to get the linemen to help block for the running backs?
Yeah, that's
because
been
the lineman
mystifying.
Over years, and how much emphasis have you seen Auburn put on that offensive line?
It's becoming the age-old question, isn't it? Is Auburn going to land offensive linemen and talented offensive linemen? I mean, they got the effort going. I think Coach Will Franz is doing a good job in that regard. He's been a good recruiter at all of his stops. I think that's going to be the case again. I don't know if they land, one of the top offensive line classes in the country, but they should get, somewhere in the 4 to 5 range from the class and then hit the portal. That's what we have, figured up after observing and seeing how many guys they brought in, and trying to flip a few Georgia commits and got some traction with them. We'll see what happens there. The need is obvious, and all the kids that go there, they see that need and they go, well, I got a much better chance of playing here. That's going to help a little bit with this cycle, and I think they add a few more offensive linemen than what Auburn fans are used to.
And you're referring, and we're talking to Cole Pinkston, AuburnLiveOn3.com, does a great job covering the Auburn Tigers, the recruiting aspect, also football-wise for the Tigers, breaking down film. I know you're talking about, at Langston Hughes High School, there's several that they're interested in. They are interested in O.T. Bo Hughley, and also and then 4-star edge Gabriel Harris, both committed to Georgia, and then even Raquez McKeldry. And that one's interesting because he's from Anniston, and yet I know Alabama's had him on campus and interested in flipping him, but Auburn's also heavily involved.
Yeah. There's a few teams other than Georgia involved with McKeldry. He's an interior offensive line prospect from Anniston, as you said, and he's a guy Auburn really, really likes. They have his cousin committed in Braden Joyner, offensive lineman from Auburn High School. So, there's a connection there, and they've worked that pretty hard, and Braden is trying to get him to come to Auburn as well. And, it seems more likely at this point that McElderry might end up at Alabama or Auburn instead of staying committed to Georgia. We don't we don't know yet what he's going to do, but he does want to have some kind of resolution to this soon, is what we know. So we're watching him closely. And then the Langston Hughes guys, Bo Hughley, definitely a top target at offensive tackle for Auburn, committed to Georgia, but they're working hard on him. We've had him on campus 3 or 4 times in the spring and summer, and he always has good things to say and has a great relationship with Coach Harsin, is what he told us last time. So that one's one to watch for sure. And his other teammate, 4-star tight end Jelani Thurman, 3-star defensive lineman Joshua Horton, and you have Auburn commit 4-star safety Terrence Love.
They a loaded roster there, no doubt about it. And Cole also, I got to watch, and he's a dude that I've seen not on the football field live, but I saw him at the state basketball tournament. I'm going to tell you what, the dude is built like a brick wall. He's so impressive physically, and his brother's going to be a big-time prospect down the road. Who'll be a rising sophomore. But I think Auburn has to like where they are with Highland Home defensive lineman Keldrick Falk.
Yeah, Keldrick Falk is a top target, man. I'm actually on the way to see him right now.
Oh, nice.
Story on him later today at Auburn Live, and we're going to figure out where he's standing with his top 4 schools, which are Auburn, Clemson, Florida State, and Florida. Auburn does feel good, but this recruitment is interesting because he wanted to wait a little while for the commitment. Not too long, but he wasn't quite ready to go and had a scheduling conflict, with where he was going to hold his commitment ceremony and had to move it up a little bit. But I think he has a decision made. I'm not going to press him on that today, but I want to know what he says about his schools that he's considering, and we'll see. I think Clemson's still up there. I think Florida State's still up there, really, with Auburn, and it could go either way. But people at Auburn do feel pretty good. They think they knocked it out of the park on his last official visit with him and his family. He's another guy that's kind of like Jeremiah Cobb and just sort of fits what Auburn does and sort of Auburn tradition. He fits that characteristically, and he plays the edge position. So that is a spot that Auburn loses Derek Hall and possibly Eku Leota next season. So there's going to be some playing time available.
With just 2 commitments right now for 2023, I mean, Auburn fans are probably looking at it, probably sensing maybe a little bit of nervousness there. Obviously, that could change in the matter of 4 or 5 days. That number could go from 2 to 5 to 6, just like that, right?
Yeah, well, let me tell you this. This is something I thought about last night after our live show because we got a lot of questions. I mean, we always get questions about that. And I don't blame anybody for wanting to know,
right?
Because it is concerning that you only have 2 at this point. Everybody else is starting to load up. That's always concerning. And it's kind of been that way at this point for Auburn in the past few seasons. And, even with Gus Malzahn still there, he was having to battle negative recruiting as, he was always seemed to be on the hot seat as well. And now you got Brian Harsin, the new guy, who publicly seems to be on the hot seat. So if you're constantly battling negative recruiting and other schools saying, hey, that coach may not be there when you're there, then it's very hard to get people in the boat. It's difficult. So you find yourself in this position around this time every year, and then you have Big Cat Weekend, and that's usually a springboard into some more commitments. And Big Cat Weekend's coming up in a couple weeks, and that should be the time when Auburn starts to get a few more guys in the boat as well.
Yeah, no question about it. And then another guy, the Elite 11's going on right now over in California. Auburn is trying to zero in on their quarterback for this class. Everyone in the SEC likes to have a quarterback to build around. Let the listeners know where that kind of stands, Cole, quarterback-wise for Coach Harsin. They got their quarterback early last year. Where does that stand now for Auburn?
That's one of the more interesting recruitments going on right now is Brock Glenn, of course. His first name is Auburn, so that
that's right, yeah.
That's a headline grabber, so that's why a lot of people are like, man, you have to land this guy. But if you look back at it and you go, okay, well, he is from Memphis. He's not actually from Auburn. He's not he's not just an Auburn guy. But Auburn got in on him early and made a huge impression and just kind of stole the show with him. And it looked like it was about to be all Auburn. And he wanted to make a decision. Yesterday was when he told us when he was on campus, June 28th is the day he wanted to go ahead and commit and help his team recruit when he goes to the Elite 11. But that didn't happen yesterday. And the reason for that is because, schools like Ohio State and Florida, Texas A&M, they're all still talking to him. Even Ohio State offered, so he took a step back, man, and he's gonna really look at those schools, and that's how he's gonna go about it right now, and not worry about a commitment until he knows for sure he's going to the right place. And Auburn is absolutely still in it, but while the interest in Auburn has always been there, the interest in other schools is rising right now. So it's going to be very interesting. We just don't know what's going to happen with him quite yet.
Well, and if he goes elsewhere, is there a clear path in your mind, or is this something where Auburn's going to have to reassess and then see who's out there and who they may like at quarterback, or is there another one they've been zeroing in on? I know they were recruiting Vizina before he from Briarwood before he committed to Clemson, but as you guys have tracked the visits and everything, is there another quarterback out there to watch?
Really, there aren't many names out there. They sort of aimed high with the quarterback position. They've got T.J. Finley, Zach Calzada, Robbie Ashford, and Holden Gerner.
That's true.
And Ashford and Gerner are both freshmen technically. Ashford has 4 years of eligibility, you're pretty good on depth at quarterback right now. If you miss one in the class, it's not detrimental. Obviously, you want to always get a quarterback in every class to keep things stable. But you do have the transfer portal now, and you do have two freshmen who are two guys that they actually think are pretty good and could help out and eventually win a job. So, it's not the worst thing in the world if you miss on Brock Glenn, but you would love to bring him in because he's a good player. He fits the offensive system, and, he's the kind of guy they want to. So I don't know about other targets right now. We've been trying to learn about that. It just seems like they kind of zeroed in on Glenn, and I would think they would have to reassess if they don't get him.
And final question for you, as we're inching closer every day to fall camp starting, in late July, early August, in your mind, what is the biggest question for this Auburn team going into Brian Harson's second year? And we all believe, and I do, that he needs to at least go 7-5, 8-4 to feel good about going into year 3 at Auburn.
Right. Well, the question for me is are they bought into his plan? Because last year I don't think you can make a great case for that. I think there were guys that weren't bought into what he wanted to do. He changed completely what was going on for the guys that have been there. Having 4 a.m. workout, whatever you want to call it, stuff like that they were not used to doing. And it's not. I'm not saying it was more difficult, or it's just a change. And when you have a change, you got to get people to buy in. And if you don't, you're not going to win the games you need to win. And you saw that toward the end of the season. It was just a downward, slide with the 5-game losing streak there at the end. And of course they were, they gave it everything they had in the Iron Bowl, and that was a good sign of things. But I think the good news for Auburn, and this is something that I don't hear a lot, in media and for those making predictions on the schedule, is there's only one game that comes to mind last season that they were not really in, and that was against Georgia, who went on to win the national championship. Every other game they were in lost by, a matter of less than 10 points in all those games at the end. And they're bringing back most of that roster and added 10 more guys from the portal. So I think they got a chance at success this year. I think the opportunities are there. It's just a matter of finishing the games, having the whole team bought in, and quarterback play, I think, is a big deal. And Zach Calzada is the guy that fits their system better than what Bo Nix did. I think Bo Nix might be more talented than Calzada, but when it comes down to fit, sometimes that's the most important thing, and we'll see how that plays out.
Well, Cole Pinkston, thank you for the first time joining us. It's been great to have you, great knowledge safe travels to see Keldrick Falk over near Laverne at Highland Home. Outstanding prospect. We'll be looking for that later. And let everybody know how to connect with you at Auburn Live on 3.
Yeah, on Twitter, we're Auburn Live on 3, at Auburn Live on 3. I'm at Cole Pinkston. And, we still got the $1 for a full year going on as of today. So y'all need to sign up with us. We got the best Auburn content. It is wall to wall. We never stop. Recruiting, football. We were all over baseball when that was happening. Always got the basketball recruiting going as well, and that's very popular right now. So we just got a great team of guys with Jeffrey Lee, Justin Hokinson, Keith Niebuhr, and myself, and we'll have you covered, man. Just $1 for a year.
Appreciate it, my friend.
Stuff.
Thank you.
All right, appreciate it.
Let's get that break in. When we come back, we're going to continue talking ball. 97.7 ESPN. The Zone conversation continues after this.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Still running all clear this morning. I don't have anything on the board accident-wise. You be careful on that trip in. Put extra room in there so you got somewhere to go if something does go wrong. But right now, it looks pretty good. Cajun Rice is back at Popeyes and their 11-piece chicken family meal. 2 sides, 5 biscuits, only $22.99. Popeyes, University and George, 72 in Jeff and North Parkway. Captain Nick in the Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
Sportsmed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust Sportsmed, you can too. Sportsmed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
On July 1st, Chris Pratt stars in The Terminal List.
Lieutenant Commander James Reese, can you outline the details of your mission?
It was a setup. They knew we were coming.
Nothing in this file adds up.
From Antoine Fuqua, director of Training Day.
Answers or blood? Blood. Stay off my list.
The Terminal List. New series, July 1st on Prime Video.
Tom Abraham here from my friend Brian Hamaker and his team at North Alabama Mortgage. Look, buying a home is the biggest purchase you will make in your life, and it can be a bit intimidating, so you want people that can help walk you through the mortgage process and get you the best deal possible. That's what North Alabama Mortgage does, and they do it in Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida, from first-time purchases to refis, conventional, VA, FHA, and USDA loans. They have the solution at North Alabama Mortgage. Visit NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. That's NorthAlabamaMortgage.com.
Tom Luganville here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
I'm attorney Gary Lackey. You know, you'll hear people say we're like a family, but here at the Lackey Law Firm, that's really true, not just a saying.
I'm Justin Lackey. With my father and my sister, we have a special connection to each other.
I'm Jennifer Lackey. At the Lackey Law Firm, when we take on your case, you become part of our family. You really do.
And we'll always do whatever it takes to get everything you deserve.
If you're injured, you worry about getting well, not about paperwork or insurance companies or figuring out how to get to your lawyer's office. I'll come to you.
We worry about your case so you don't have to.
When you've been injured, we know that your case is probably the biggest thing going on in your life. More important than almost anything else.
And it's important to us too, for one simple reason. Family takes care of each other, and at the Lackey Law Firm, we'll take care of you.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4-RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
The world champs are back. The Braves are out to defend their world championship. And behind Matt Olson, Ronald Acuna, Dansby Swanson, Max Fried, and this loaded 2022 roster, a repeat is within reach.
There goes Ozzie. 2-2 on the way. Hit well. Deep center field. Might have ourselves a tie ball game. You betcha.
And we'll bring you every huge moment of the Braves 2022 season right here on the Atlanta Braves Radio Network.
All the press conferences.
It's our mental energy, I would say. Spend less time complaining about, when I was going to get an opportunity. Just spend more time training and working towards.
Plus, all of the rat poison is served up right here.
It's yummy.
On 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Eli Gold, voice of the Alabama Crimson Tide. Now more of Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond on your home for Crimson Tide Sports 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Roll Tide.
All right, indeed. Welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone, 8:27 on a Wednesday morning. We've made it to the halfway point of the week. And we talked about it in hour number one, the Kentucky Wildcats adding more and more to that running back room, adding D. Beckwith out of former Florence High running back, D. Beckwith from Tennessee, and adding a junior college running back. 8 running backs in all now in that running back room for Mark Stoops. He's got a plan. He's got to figure out how to use them all and figure out how to incorporate what he wants. But it could be another big year for Kentucky because Will Levis went down to the Manning Passing Academy. Got some good reviews there in Thibodaux, Louisiana. A lot of things trending for Mark Stoops heading into this year.
Well, no, he's just done an amazing job. And as our good caller, Jeff from the Borough, has said, he's about to become the winningest coach in Kentucky football history, passing somebody named Paul Bear Bryant. So that's outstanding.
Has he told us that before?
Yes. But and our next guest played football for the University of Kentucky. It's been too long since we've had him on our show. He's one of my favorite people, one of the most knowledgeable. If it comes to Kentucky football, there's no one that's better. He actually worked for Mark Stoops for a time in the program. He still hosts now his daily Depth Chart podcast and, of course, the Kentucky Sports Radio daily podcast. He's part of Kentucky Sports Radio, which is part of on3sports.com. And it's, of course, Freddie Maggard, and he's been good enough to join us this morning on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Freddie, it's an honor to have you back. You're with Drew DeArmond and Scott Theisen this morning in Huntsville. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me back on. I always enjoy jumping on air with you, and I appreciate the invite. And, Mark Stoops is the man in Lexington. And, in a new era of Kentucky athletics, Mark Stoops is the most popular UK figure in the state of Kentucky these days. He surpassed John Calipari, and that just goes to show you what he's done. He's built a program, not a collection of teams. He's done a fantastic job, and he will soon be the program's all-time winningest coach, like you said, passing up Bear Bryant.
That is amazing that you just that you mentioned that he becomes the most. I mean, he surpasses basketball. I mean, would you ever have thought you would say that in a sentence, that the Kentucky football coach surpasses a basketball coach in popularity?
I've always said Kentucky is a football state, especially when I say that, it's in high school. The two big sports, football and basketball. Historically, basketball here in Kentucky, I'm talking high school basketball, was king. The Sweet 16, the state tournament, is unique. It's not class. So you can have a school with 50 students playing a school with 3,000 students in the state tournament. But the quality of teams and players has declined in basketball. Football, since Tim Couch came around and popularity shifted, has been on an ascension. And, now Kentucky has a lot of quality teams. Many more Division I, 1AA prospects are signing scholarships in UK. So Kentucky's always been it's a big myth about Kentucky. It's been a football state, but just not in college. And it's taken Mark Stoops, Vince Merrill, and that staff to develop that program. And now It is a football state, and people are going crazy. Can't wait. These tickets are through the roof and are excited to kick it off against Miami of Ohio.
Well, and we know Christian Rodriguez is coming back, the running back for Kentucky. We know he's had some legal issues. I personally think if you look on paper, he's probably the best running back in the SEC to return. He's had an outstanding career. But what was the thought process behind Coach Stoops taking these two young men yesterday from the portal to add to what Scott was saying is a running back room that's crowded, but certainly physicality in the running game has been the big backbone of the success for Coach Stoops.
Yeah, absolutely. You look at Benny Snell,
yes,
Chris Rodriguez Jr., and again, with Chris, nobody knows what's going to come out of that. So that's a mystery. Is he going to is he going to miss time? Is he going to play? Nobody knows. I think we may get some answers at media days next month. I'm not for sure, but it certainly looks like with the addition of Jefferson in particular. Raymond Jefferson was an All-American at Sam Houston State, and I've watched him play on television. That guy can play.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's not transferring to sit. I mean, I'm telling you that right now. So he's going to get carries. So it makes the Rodriguez situation interesting, and we'll see how that plays out. But D. Beckworth from Florence, Alabama, a four-star athlete, played every position on the field, and then played at Tennessee in multiple positions. When you have a coordinator like Kentucky has from the San Francisco 49ers, I think he could be used as an H-back, a tight end, quarterback, receiver, many, many different ways because Rich Cangarello, the new offensive coordinator of Kentucky, I'll tell you this, you thought Liam Cohen was creative. I think Rich is right there with Liam, and he is going to be very creative in how he disperses the football around. But it all starts, I always say, when you got a quarterback, you got a chance. Will Levis is a pro quarterback. I said he was a first-rounder last year, and that's kind of proven to be now. And, when you have a quarterback, you got a chance. And now, you lose Wandale Robinson, but you bring in Pga Robinson, a wide receiver from Virginia Tech. What Mark Stoops has done through the portal has been strategic. It's not been a blanket strategy of just bring in as many as you can. It's been strategic, and I think Kentucky has been very effective in the portal, bringing in Will Levis, Wandale Robinson, and many other players that are going to factor. So I like how Kentucky's utilized the portal.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And I love Scott and I talked about it earlier in the show. I love D. Beckwith. We covered him. He is an outstanding athlete. I don't think he was utilized correctly at Tennessee. I completely agree with you about him being an H-back and a guy you move around. He can play running back and line up in the backfield some, but he's a big jumbo athlete. And, Freddie, I know you always have the saying it's not personal, it's personnel. He's a guy, if you evaluate him on tape, he only played 2 years of high school football, but he had outstanding hands, body control. I think he's a sleeper guy that Kentucky could utilize and really surprise some people offensively with, as you said, Coach Cangarello, how he uses this young man.
Yeah, and what, you really have to study and know a lot about Kentucky to understand that the tight end room is going to be a strength for the Cats this year. Keaton Upshaw comes back off injury, had a really good sophomore campaign, missed the season. He's 6'6", 250, and can run. Isaiah Cummings came on last year. He's more of a receiving tight end. Brendan Bates is that online blocker. Kentucky's really high on Jordan Dingle, a four-star out of Bowling Green High School, played some as a true freshman. They bring him back with. There's a lot of movable parts that are, you could somewhat say, positionless, taking a turn from basketball. So, yeah, I think Scangarello is bringing that, just like Liam Cohen, that NFL mentality. Doesn't matter what position you play or defined as a position. If you can move the football, if you can move the chains, you're going to be on the field, and I think that's what Kentucky's doing.
Kentucky's got all the pieces. They've got the quarterback. They've got the talent. They've got a lot of things. Last season, it was a second-place finish in the East. It's when you get to that point, then expectations become something that you got to talk about. Is Is Kentucky poised again to finish up in that upper half of the East? And can they contend to get a SEC East title against the likes of a Georgia?
That's the $1 million question. I mean, Kentucky's proven that it can be right there, on the cusp of the East. But last year's Georgia team was historic, so that was a little bit too much to ask for any team to. I think Kentucky actually played Georgia better than anybody until Alabama beat them. But yeah, I mean, I don't see why not. But again, there's a lot of personnel to be replaced and a lot of unknowns on the defensive line. You lose Marquand McCall, the nose tackle in the NFL. Josh Paschal, a three-time captain, you lose him. So the defensive front is going to look new. But a couple of years ago, Kentucky signed four stars on that defensive line. It's time for them to take off. And Anwar Stewart, the defensive line coach, does a tremendous job at Kentucky. But it's time for them to produce. Linebackers are strength. Jacques Jones, Ole Miss transfer, comes in last year, plays really well, comes back for a sixth year. DeAndre Square, team captain, has been solid for Kentucky. I think a rising star in the league is J.J. Weaver, outside linebacker. That's somebody for your audience to take a look at. And then you have to replace some secondary. So, and then the big blue wall, the offensive line, you lose Luke Fortner, third-round pick for the Jaguars, the center. So what Kentucky did, the offensive line-wise, Kentucky's recruiting is, they got Keontae Goodwin was a 5-star and some 4-stars, but Kentucky is a player development program, and it all starts with the offensive line. They have a nickname, the Big Blue Wall. They fly first class when you have in the plane. I mean, the offensive line is celebrated at Kentucky. Well, Mark Stevens is mid-year All-American guard Eli Cox, moved him to center, so now you have that caliber of player at center. Tayshawn Manning, the Auburn transfer, comes over at guard. Kenneth Horsey's a 3-year starter, all-conference guy. But you're going to have new tackles. I think if you really want to get in the weeds on this thing, Kentucky offense will go as far as those tackles will take you. Jeremy Flax was a 4-star, was actually the top offensive tackle in the country coming out of junior college. He's taken over the right tackle position from Darren Kennard, who's now with the Chiefs. And then left tackle, DeAndre Buford, a high 4-star player out of Detroit, now a redshirt sophomore. He's there, but tackle is not a question mark, but it's okay, you're there, how are you going to perform positions for Kentucky? I think as those tackles go, Kentucky will go.
And I think it's significant. I know they lost Eric Wolford to Alabama, and John Schlarman meant so much to that program from just a culture perspective, and the players had loved him so much. But I think it's significant. I know Liam Cohn went back to the Los Angeles Rams, but you get Rich Stangarello and you hire Zach Yenser as your offensive line coach. These are a couple of dudes that were in the NFL, and yet they think enough of Mark Stoops and this Kentucky program and where it is to come to the SEC and leave the National Football League for UK.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Mark identified – he evolved as a head coach, and much like Nick Saban offensively, he understands that NFL system is the future. Brings in Liam Cohen, brings in Scangarello, but I think that the good part is Zach Yenser is actually from Kentucky.
Yes, that's right.
He coached, and he played for John Schlarman. So I think it's very important for the offensive line coach at Kentucky to have some connection to John Schlarman, and I think we're very fortunate at Kentucky. The players love him. I've watched him, practice and such, and he's done a fantastic job. But yeah, and those tackle positions, 12 or 13, and still went 10 and 3. So, Phil Steele always says the turnover margin is something that is a year-to-year thing, and likely not to be as bad. So if Kentucky can hang on to the football, get after the passer a little bit, protect Will Levis, I think they do have a chance to pressure Georgia in the East, yes.
Well, and Freddie, and we love our good friend John Summerall. We're so happy for him to get the opportunity at Troy. But he did a great job at Kentucky. He's a Kentucky guy, really good player there for Rich Brooks. Did a great job defensively. How are they going to replace, though, Coach Summerall?
Yeah, so Mark Stoops brought in Mike Stoops.
Yeah, there you go.
His brother, who was the head coach at Arizona, defensive coordinator at Oklahoma and down in Florida. So you bring in a lot of experience with Mike Stoops there, and I think he's going to transition nicely. If anything, he's overqualified for the job. So, I think that's great to bring him in there. And then you brought up John Summerall. I can't tell you the number of Troy fans that are in the state of Kentucky. I mean, I'm honest, because you had Neil Brown there, who is from Kentucky, played at Kentucky, coached at Kentucky, and everybody loves Neil. And now you got John Summerall, who is a just universally loved coach here at Kentucky. So you got a lot of fan support and a lot of interest in Troy here in Kentucky because of that. So we all want John Summerall to do well. He's a fantastic person and coach, and I will certainly be following Troy closely this year.
I want to get your thoughts. And Mark Stoops has been vocal. We've been talking the ACC scheduling format changes and doing away with divisions. Mark Stoops has been very vocal on wanting to stay with 8 conference games and keep the non-conference opponents as they are. What's your thoughts on the SEC going forward in that matter?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm an avid supporter of 8 games instead of 9. That way, the SEC has some traditional rivalries that need to be respected. Florida, Florida State, Georgia, Georgia Tech, Kentucky, Louisville, South Carolina, Clemson. Those are fantastic rivalries that I would like to see hang around. It's good for college football. I know in this state it's good that Kentucky, even though Kentucky has beaten them up pretty badly here recently, it's fun for the state to have that rivalry to talk about year-round. And I like the 8 games. It gives scheduling some flexibility. If you are in Alabama and you want to reach out there and play Notre Dame or Texas or something, then that's fine. But if you're Kentucky and, you want to play a MAC school, you want to play an in-state school that's, 1AA or FCS, that's fine too. So I'm all for schedule flexibility for these programs. And, if you have differing opinions on out-of-conference scheduling, that's fine too. But it also allows those rivalries to stay intact. And, the pressure for coaches in the SEC is going to be ramped up tremendously, bringing in Texas and Oklahoma. That's enough, right? So I prefer to see coaches and ADs and programs have that opportunity to have the 4 games to schedule in any manner that they see fit for their programs, their fans, and their student athletes, and then you just play your 8 conference games and keep going at it like that.
Well, it's great stuff, great interesting perspective. Talking Kentucky football with Freddie Maggard, Kentucky Sports Radio. Freddie, you always bring it. You know Kentucky football better than anyone I've ever spoken with, and you do a great job studying it. Of course, you played there as well, have strapped it on. You're very close to Mark Stoops in this program, but we always appreciate you coming on and giving us some perspective. We look forward to catching up with you throughout this, SEC football season. We hope we see you in Atlanta for SEC Football Media Days. But, again, let everybody know how to follow you and you guys and what you're doing at Kentucky Sports Radio.
Yeah, it's KentuckySportsRadio.com, and like you said, we're an On3 affiliate, and, we try to bring sports in a serious and a ridiculous manner, so we have a lot of fun with it. And you can follow me at FredMaggard606 on Twitter, and I will be in Atlanta this year, so I'll see you down there.
Well, we look forward to it, man. I know we've hooked up there before at SEC Football Media Days in Hoover. Look forward to seeing you in Atlanta, my friend, and really appreciate your time this morning talking UK football.
All right. You guys have a great day. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Freddie. All right, Freddie Maggard with us. Let's get that final break in. When we come back, one SEC coach getting in an extension. Who is it? We'll let you know.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
We're winding things down this morning with one accident still on the board. This one's on County Line at Sherborne. It's in Madison. That was reported as an injury type. Everything else looks good. Looks like most everybody's going to get in very close to on time this morning. Dr. Sandman has the Somnodent, a safe, insurance-approved alternative for snoring and sleep apnea. Dr. Sandlin, 350-CARE. Captain Nick in the 72 and Jeff Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
The boys of summer are heating up. The Atlanta Braves are locked in and ready. And the Braves Radio Network's making sure you don't miss a single moment.
2-1 pitch. There's a missile. Deep right. Back towards the corner. Damage done by Matt Olson.
Tonight, the huge division battles roll on in Philadelphia as Ronald Acuna and the Braves take on the Philadelphia Phillies from Citizens Bank Park. Braves Radio's on the air at 5:50 Eastern, 4:50 Central on the Braves Radio Network.
If you need a car, McCurry Motors is ready to put you in a quality vehicle, and in-house financing is available. If you have a job, McCurry Motors will work with you even if you have a bankruptcy, divorce, or bad credit. Visit McCurrySaysYes.com. Every car comes with a warranty, and they report to the credit bureau. With 2 locations, Highway 72 in Athens, call 256-230-0232, or Max Luther Drive in Huntsville. Call 256-713-0575.
If you're ready to lower your utility bills, it's time to call Eagle Insulation. Eagle can handle it all. Attic re-insulation, insulation removal, wall insulation, and new construction insulation, commercial and residential. Our primary goal is to save you money, and lots of it. Typical clients realize their return on investment within 3 to 6 months. That means the re-insulation actually pays for itself and then some. See if we can help you. Contact Eagle Insulation today, 256-755-1556, or log on insulatewitheagle.com.
Are you tired of chasing a roofing contractor to show up on time, or even show up at all? I'm Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Our motto at Fleming Roofing is we show up. Our goal at Fleming Roofing is to provide the reliable customer service that you deserve, and we have the resources to meet all of your roofing needs: residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. We are manufacturer certified for roof coatings, single-ply membranes, and asphalt shingles. Whenever you need a roofing professional you can count on, call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We are committed to finding the solution that meets your needs. We don't have quotas or heavy-handed sales tactics. Fleming Roofing, we have expert experience. We show up. Free estimates, residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. Check us out at FlemingHSV.com. FlemingHSV.com. When you need a quick response, it's Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
When I chose a garage door company, I did my homework. I needed Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. They have a 5-star Google rating. I checked their reviews and liked what their customers had to say. Precision Overhead Garage Door has lifetime warranty packages. Same-day service if I call before 2 p.m. If they can't make it the same day, my service call fee the next day is waived. They did a 25-point safety inspection on the door and operator. Now that's peace of mind. Residential, commercial, and gate services. Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. Call 256-400-4500.
This segment of Talkin' Ball is brought to you by University Kia, the #1 volume Kia dealer in the state of Alabama. Located online at universitykia.com. It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Time for your tomorrow's headlines today. We do keep slipping into the future. And Mike Leach, the head coach of the Mississippi State Bulldogs, appears to be their coach of the future as well.
Wait a minute. I thought Matt Hayes said he's about to get fired if we had a bad year. Isn't that what that moron said?
Yeah.
That it might be his last year?
Could be. Reports have Mike Leach and Mississippi State agreeing to a 2-year contract extension ahead of the They hired him ahead of the 2020 season.
Yeah.
This would keep him through the 2025 season in Starkville.
Huh. There you go. Yeah.
So there you go. Mississippi state law, though, by the way, only allows contracts to be up to 4 years in length.
Oh, there you go.
So
only a 4-year extension at 4 years at a time.
Yeah, that's why, you don't see a 6-year or a 5-year deal out of Mississippi coaches in the state of Mississippi. I did not know that. Leach's original deal was worth $5 million on an annual basis. It was set to expire in 2023. So he'll get 2 more years out of that.
Well, there you go. I mean, I'm sorry. I think Matt Hayes once again swung and missed. I think Leach will be fine. He'll keep them competitive, get them to bowl games, and if he does, he'll be there a while. And he's making even $5 million a year. That just shows you how much money goes into SEC football, because we know Mississippi State's a baseball school. Chris Lemonis makes over $1 million a year, but he's never going to make close to $5 million for base, just because, again, there's a big difference between, and what I mean by is having, 8, 9, 10,000 baseball fans at a game, but yet having 60 to 70,000. Right. I guess it's 60 plus thousand. That's the capacity, for Davis Wade Stadium. But there's just the fans and the tickets and everything like that. That's why SEC football is so important, and that's why we were talking about that 9-game schedule. I know Freddie is still in favor of the 8-game schedule, but the 9, you got to fill the stands up, man, and sell the tickets.
That is going to be so here we go. We've been kind of foreshadowing SEC Media Days, because coming up July 18th on Monday, that is a Monday, that is when the fun will start in Atlanta. And everybody has the Tuesday and Thursday circled, because Tuesday is Alabama and Nick Saban. Thursday is Jimbo Fisher and Texas A&M. And
so the last day, Dirt Neck is there.
Yeah. So everybody wants those days circled, because that's, we're just going to get inundated with this and the soap opera and the drama and everything else. I mean, that's going to be the forefront discussion. But I'd have to believe that the second most questions that are going to be asked, if you're going to rank them in order, would have to be the future scheduling models.
Yeah.
And I'm sure coaches are going to get asked ad nauseum.
I'd like to ask Mark Stoops that question just to once again hear his take on it.
Yeah, because the only time that those have been asked was in the SEC spring meetings. That was the latest conversation that the coaches were asked about the scheduling format. It's not going to be decided between now and July. We already know that. When we go to Atlanta, they're not going to have the model.
I could even ask Dirt Neck, would you rather just dodge Alabama and have them rotate off the schedule? I'm sure you would, considering, I don't think you'll ever beat them again.
Oh, jeez. Oh, my goodness. You could only ask him. You're only going to probably get 1 or 2 questions.
1 question.
Well, it depends what room you go to.
Yeah.
And it depends the access, because if it was set up in like it was, you go into the main room and you'll be able to get 1 question possibly in there. If you go into the TV room, you know that you're going to get maybe a few questions in there that are actually worth a darn anyway.
Right.
And so you're going to be able to ask.
I wish we were on Satellite XM so I could just ask him if he was a chicken bleep. I'm not going to say that on this air. I'm not getting Wes in trouble.
Well, you did good there.
Right.
You did good. But I'm just saying that when we get to Atlanta, obviously on Tuesday, but I guarantee you the coaches are going to get asked in nauseam what they prefer. And we already know that Nick Saban is in favor of a 9. We know Kirby Smart is probably – I don't know where he stands, because he is obviously Georgia, and he would want to keep Georgia Tech, I would imagine, on there, because that is a in-state rival game. So I don't know if he would be in favor of an 8-game or 9-game, because he wouldn't want to lose that rivalry with Georgia Tech. Billy Napier, I don't know where Billy Napier would stand. Florida State. I mean, is that a series
I still think you can play these people. Okay,
You can play them,
You can still play them. Now, it just makes your schedule more difficult. But, again, it's about selling tickets, because if you don't fill your stadium, then you don't pay the bills.
Okay, if you're Georgia.
But yet the other side of it is what Freddie Maggard kind of referred to was coaching security, because you can schedule – in other words, you can schedule a guaranteed win almost, a money game as they call it, instead of having a 9th SEC game.
Yes, and I think that's where Mark Stoops was saying, because he has gone on the record and said that, look, we're losing coaches already because of the tough schedules. Now you're saying let's add one more conference game. We're going to lose coaches even more because basically I don't think he's afraid of playing 9 games. I think he just would like that security of having that one extra win a year.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, that's going to do it.
Kyle Wright pitching tonight.
Yeah.
You already mentioned it on Zone Center.
Yep. Kyle Wright on the mound for the Braves, taking on the Phillies.
Let's go Braves.
Who I believe is without Bryce Harper.
Yeah, he broke something. He's getting paid, I don't know how much money. Like, what is it, $40 million? You know what? I've said this to Chad yesterday off the air. One of the most overpaid athletes now in sports. He opted into his contract, and I'm not talking about Kyrie, vaccination. I'm talking about Russell Westbrook, $47 million to suck. I mean, are you kidding me? He's getting all this money. Now, he used to be great, but he stinks now. I mean, are you telling? I mean, $47 million.
We're talking Kyrie Irving.
Yeah.
Close the show.
I mean, I know somebody ran off the road. I'm talking about the NBA, but, man, $47 million for a guy that just helps the Lakers stink. Of course, I love it because I can't stand LaDum. But, wow, thank you to Freddie Maggard for coming back. Thank you for Cole Pinkston and our phone callers.
We'll see you guys tomorrow morning on the Thursday edition. Talking Ball.
On July 1st, Chris Pratt stars in The Terminal List.
Lieutenant Commander James Reese, can you outline the details of your mission?